Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the 51st episode of the Supernova Show. And I'm Colton Roberts, and here I am. Today it's going to be a good show. We got Book of Boba Fett, episode 7, and then we got Peacemaker, episode 7, since we keeping in the vibe of the episode 7s. And then we're going to do NFL, and we're going to talk about that. So that's going to be good. Do some predictions for the Super Bowl. Yep. And I'm going to go ahead and bring out Mr. Robert Cass.
Hey, Robert. Hello. 51st episode. It's crazy. Someone very famous just put up 51 points in a game last night in my town. So it seems apropos.
That was weird. Okay. But yeah, it's gonna be a good show. How have you been?
Work's been terrible. Work's been a lot. I'm glad the weekend is here though. Like I said, this is always the advent of the weekend, and I'm glad when it comes because that means I am done for 2 days plus. So ready to enjoy that weekend.
Yeah, I was really bummed out that I wasn't gonna be able to do the show today, but luckily enough, we made it work. So
fortune shined upon us, I guess.
Yes. Now, of course, like some pretty interesting things. Like I know I posted in our group chat a bunch of the Lord of the Rings stuff.
To be honest, I keep forgetting about it until you keep reminding me of things about it. I don't think about it ever until you talk about it.
Yeah. Now I said in our chat today, or I might said it yesterday. I don't remember when, but it's the second most exciting thing of this year. The first being something I made, so like I'm a little biased, but honestly, like looking at it, like I know, hey, Twitter out there, don't cancel me, but freaking people are freaking out because they cast a black lady to be a dwarf. That's not a problem. And they cast a black person to be an elf. And I was saying, like, today, I was telling someone, I was like, my biggest problem with any of those casting decisions is I don't like that he has short hair because elves aren't, in Tolkien's universe, elves are not supposed to cut their hair.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll explain it that he's been like dishonored or something, and that's why he's cut his hair.
Or so somebody had it for him.
Then it'll be great. And then technically the dwarven lady should have a beard, but based on the universe. But the practicality of that is of telling a woman, hey, we're gonna put facial hair on you is probably not the best. And so that one's less of a nitpick. Like the first one's more of the nitpick but if they explain it in the story, then I'm cool with it. But yeah, like everyone, I don't know. It's gonna be weird seeing the new Elrond.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was weird seeing a new Agent Smith. So weird that people hated it deliberately and in its entirety. So
yeah, and
similar.
Yeah, it's gonna be that's gonna be a little weird, and it's gonna be weird to see Galadriel like wield a sword and wear armor. But besides that, yeah, like it's gonna be great. Like I know there's people that are gonna hate on it, but
they'll hate on it because they hate on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, like basically. It is more than 4 times as expensive as the Lord of the Rings movies, which is
insane.
Just this first season is insane. Not counting the $1 billion that they spent on the rights to get the show. And yeah, so I'm pretty
I remember when Lost came out and it was the most expensive pilot episode because it was like $2 million because they had a lot of CGI and explosions with plane crash, and people consider that one of the better episodes of Lost because it is. But I remember that being a big deal at the time. When did this story come out? Because there's an interesting parallel to something I just watched last night.
I mean, I know the $1 billion thing is at least like a year and a half old.
The black casting, the casting.
Day before yesterday.
Day before, yeah. Okay. So interestingly enough, the episode of South Park that just came out.
Is it? Yeah, I haven't watched South Park since the pandemic episode that they.
Okay, well,
'Cause
they started the new season, and I'm
oh,
recording it and watching it. And this episode was about Randy finding out that weed farms are being looked down upon because they're mostly white owned. There's no black ownership, which is kind of parallels to what's happening in sports. But the interesting thing is, we learn in this episode that Tolkien's name is named from J.R.R. Tolkien. His name isn't Token, like the token black person. It's Tolkien, which blows the mind of Randy and Stan. And Stan realizes how much of a horrible racist he is. So, like, he goes to the doctor, and the doctor is like, "What a piece of shit you are! Get the hell out of here right now!" And he's like, "Do some reading. Read from the perspective of a black person." So what does Stan do? He doesn't read like African American literature through the years. He reads Tolkien, but he reads it in the voice of a black person. I bring this up because it's funny that it's interesting that those stories were coming out about the same time that South Park episode came out. We find out Tolkien is named after J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah, yeah, like it's. I hope that, like, I know, like, one of our previous guests on the show does not like that, and I'm like, I told him.
I like that you call him a previous guest because I don't think he'll ever be a guest again.
I think he might if they. Like, if something really interesting comes out, I think he'll come back on the show.
Maybe I'll every week I'll just ask him. I'll be like, "Hey Anthony, you want to come on? You want to come on the show this week?" And
Yeah.
I'll ramp up. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I promise. Everybody out there
not.
who haven't seen Anthony in, I don't know, 30 episodes maybe. Well,
Yeah, since
gotta make
like
sure he gets back.
April of last year, I think.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well,
Yep.
we'll try to guilt him into coming in and doing more stuff like he should be.
But yeah, so what yeah, like I think it's gonna be great. Like, you don't pour that much money into something and it not be good. I
Well, unless it's some sort of real estate or amusement park or a trip to get to the moon. Lots of things that a lot of money gets put into that fails, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's true. In entertainment, you don't really spend $400 million and $1 billion for rights to a thing if you're not going to make the thing well.
No, not unless it's Waterworld.
Yeah, like, but yeah, like I think it's going to be great. I do like that the fact that they came out, because I know a lot of people were worried because when Jeff Bezos came out and said this is going to be the new Game of Thrones, a lot of people were worried that we're going to get like gratuitous murder and like sex and stuff, and they came out and said that anyone could watch this show. Like, it's gonna
Yeah,
be
they're not
like,
gonna they're not gonna put that much money into it. It's the same like PG-13 versus R rating thing. They
yeah,
wouldn't do that and alienate a large chunk of audience.
yeah. I mean, like, even Game of Thrones, their budget was like $27 million an episode.
Yeah, they're insane. They were insane.
Yeah. So yeah, like, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. If my son was not being born this year, it would probably be the most excited thing that I have going. Which I don't know what that says about my life. It's definitely the thing I'm looking forward to the most in entertainment across all mediums.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. Mine's the Batman, and
Yeah.
then after that, I don't know. I guess like Harry Potter, and then after that, not quite sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
because
Kenobi. I mean, I guess my whole year is basically planned out because Disney Plus and things sort of.
yeah, which is gonna be so weird because, like, we don't have anything on Disney Plus till March.
Yeah, it's a weird
Like,
situation where they took this 2-month break or whatever, but
yeah, like, this will be the largest gap in original content since Disney Plus aired.
Well, they'll have some of those weird shows. They'll have more like travel shows or something. They
Or
have there's the Beatles thing that's not on Disney Plus, but you know how they had the documentary about their recording, and then they're doing I think tonight they're airing the last concert that they did on the rooftop,
yeah.
which is a famous concert. So yeah, it's strange that they decided to give them 2 months. I guess they want to see what it's like if they
And
can
then, of
build up
course, like moving into NFL,
Yep.
they are going to play the Lotor trailer on the day of the Super Bowl, and it's going to be online first, but then it's going to be. I wonder if it's going to be a Super Bowl spot because I don't know if you want to spend that kind of money if you're already releasing it online first.
Yeah. I didn't
But
know that was happening. The only Super Bowl spot I knew for a trailer was the Jordan Peele trailer for Nope. That's the only one I knew about.
But yeah, so that's happening, and I'm more excited for that than I am the game now. Like I was real like we were talking about it before because again we didn't think the show was going to happen. So I asked you your predictions, and you can go ahead and say what your predictions are and all that, and then I have to figure out like a point.
Okay.
And then
Well,
I realized I didn't think we were going to have the show. So
here's my thoughts. Cincinnati Bengals pretty lucky to get this far. Good, but also lucky. They could have lost any of the 3 games they played. Especially even the first one where there was weird refereeing issues against the Raiders. And then the Titans sacked them 9 times and the Titans blew that game. And then the Chiefs had a 21-3 lead and blew that. So eventually this luck will run out. The Rams are built to win right now. I would say if you looked at the people on the field, Cincinnati would probably have 2 to 3 people. If you did like a draft of the people, Cincinnati might have the first 2, and then the rest might be Rams for a while, honestly. So I'm picking the Rams. I don't want Cincinnati to win a Super Bowl. That would be really weird, and it would make me sad, and I don't want to believe in that right now. As I've said before, even though I didn't put it in a bracket, I saw a very clear path for them to get to the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, but I didn't think they would win that game. So it's kind of crazy they've got this far. I'm picking the Rams to win. I'm picking the Rams to cover. It's 4.5, I believe, is the spread. I'm picking a 27-20 Rams victory. And then because it's very hard for anybody else not being a quarterback to win the Super Bowl MVP, I'm picking Matt Stafford to win the Super Bowl MVP.
okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said originally, hey, I'll choose Cincinnati.
Yeah, you want to be a contrarian.
Yeah, but now I have to actually like look up statistics and stuff and see what are the odds of them winning. So I'm gonna look.
I mean, they probably have a 4.5 points. They probably have like a 30% chance, 25 to 30% chance to win, technically.
Okay, well, CBS Sports just posted this like 4 hours ago, so we'll just go with that. See what the odds are.
Yeah, let's see what the odds are.
Yeah, this is thrilling.
Yeah, it really is. I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to ruin your concentration.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know what this means. So it says Bengals versus Rams point spread, Los Angeles -4.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I
4. I thought I heard 4.5, but it's 4. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So it looks like they're gonna win by 4.
That's the idea. You bet. The idea is that they're 4 points better, or actually, it's kind of like 1 point better since they're playing in Los Angeles, and the home team usually gets 2.5 to 3 points on the spread. So they think it's fairly close, but 4 is larger than a pick 'em, so they definitely favor the Rams.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna choose that just because, like, since the playoffs started and we started doing this, I have been cursing teams, and I don't want to do that to the Rams. So
So you're picking the Bengals to curse the Bengals then?
yeah,
Oh, okay, good.
yeah.
Happy,
So
happy for you.
and if it
I-
turns around and they win, then I look like I'm a prophet. So
My wife was like, "Root for Cincinnati. They've never won before." And I was like, "Well, the Rams haven't won since 1999." And then she goes, "Well, how long has it been since the Bengals?" I was like, "No, they haven't won ever, and it's 33 years. But I hate them, and I don't want them to win. So I don't care about how long it's been. It's been a long time for both teams, honestly. So too bad."
yep. But yeah, it's very interesting. Like, did you watch the Pro Bowl at all?
Oh no,
Okay, I did not either, and I
you'd have
did.
to pay me to watch the Pro Bowl, honestly.
Yeah, and I didn't care at all.
No,
But
I turned on. They did the skills competition, and I turned on to see the end of them playing dodgeball. And I was really excited about that idea, and I wish I had known that they were doing that because I might have watched the whole of them playing dodgeball.
okay, yeah,
No, I think the AFC won, and I think Max Crosby and Justin Herbert were the MVPs, offensive and defensive MVPs. I think that's how it worked.
okay. But yeah, I think that's all we got. I know we got the awards for the Schmodown, but we don't have enough time for all that. We got
Oh, very quickly, they did do the award ceremony last night for NFL.
oh, okay.
So Aaron Rodgers won the MVP. Cooper Cup was the offensive player of the year. My boy TJ Watt was the defensive player of the year. Jamar Chase of the Bengals was offensive rookie of the year. Micah Parsons was defensive rookie of the year. Andrew Whitworth was the man of the year, the Walter Payton man of the year. And Mike Vrabel was coach of the year. So those kind of went as people expected. There wasn't really a surprise there.
Okay. But yeah, we'll talk about the Schmodown Awards next week.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, I don't want to announce this too ahead of time because if something happens, essentially, if something happens where my son is born late, is then it probably won't happen. But I have booked Laura Kelly to come on the show 325. So that's gonna be
March
good.
25th.
Yep.
Oh man. That'll let's you should put a graphic on. It says 325. Laura Kelly.
Okay. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. Or just put it in the ticker. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how to work any of this stuff.
Oh,
Like
okay,
unless
never
I
mind.
especially
Laura
with it
Kelly, 325. Laura Kelly, 325.
okay, what's the significance of 325?
Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, okay. I didn't know. I know it's like all right. So I know other people. Let's get out of NFL. Like have been talking about like 525 is a big day in Star Wars.
Yep. That's when
Yeah,
Kenobi's
and
coming
that's
out.
when Kenobi's coming out, and that's the 40th,
45th.
45th anniversary of A New Hope,
Yes. Because most
and
people wanted
along
it on May the 4th.
yeah,
Also a Friday or whatever, or Wednesday.
yeah, yeah. It's a Friday, which I wonder if they'll do Kenobi on Fridays,
Seems like a weird
or if they'll
compromise.
just do it on that Friday and then go back to
I think
Wednesdays.
it runs into the end of Moon Knight, is what I understand. So
Oh, okay,
they might switch it over after Moon Knight's done.
okay, yeah, because it's I'm excited. I'm not super hopeful. Like I mean, we kind of know what's going on in that era of his life a little bit. I mean, it will be interesting.
Darth Maul comes and they have a fight by a fire.
Yeah, I mean, we already know that happens actually like 10 years after this.
Oh,
So,
okay. You mean in the
so
10 years when Ewan McGregor turns into Alec Guinness?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah. But yeah, like that will be interesting. Like obviously, we know Darth Vader's going to be in it, so I don't, or at least Hayden is going to be in it.
O'Shea
We
Jackson
assume
Jr. is going to be in it.
what?
O'Shea Jackson Jr. is going to be in it.
Yeah.
Excited about that. I'm just curious who he's going to play. I'm just like, that's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And I don't know about you. Which do you want to talk about first, Peacemaker or Book of Boba Fett?
Boba Fett.
Okay.
I don't want to give Boba Fett the end portion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the reason why I let you make that decision, because I kind of listed them both in the same. Their Book of Boba Fett was listed first because that's the thing people are going to be YouTubing this weekend.
Well, they shouldn't. They should.
But they should not be.
Peacemaker was way better.
Yes, it absolutely
Infinitely
was.
better. Sorry for everybody. I know I watch reviews of both on the same network, and I know the people that they had talking about the Book of Boba Fett were like very positive about it, and one guy was kind of negative about it, and they were kind of giving him shit. And I was like, no, I agree more with the negative guy, because I did not particularly like this episode, honestly.
Yeah, no,
it left me a little wanting.
It's my least favorite episode of the season.
Wow. Okay.
And because
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I really like the first 4, even though I don't like any of the future scenes. I love all the past stuff.
Can you remind me what 4 was? The one where they broke in and stole Slave 1, right?
Yep. And then
that might be my least favorite.
And then we found out that his Tusken tribe is dead.
Okay, yeah, I think that's my least favorite one.
Honestly. Yeah.
This is probably second to last, though.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of suspected that the Pikes were the ones who killed his Tusken tribe.
Yeah, it was like the stupidest reveal ever. It was, yeah, no, we probably figured that was.
And then, of course, like, I mean, yeah, they have like all the big beats, but there are so, like, I don't want to say people have said stuff about Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I don't.
He did not acquit himself very well with this show, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think he should direct Star Wars anymore.
It's funny because his episode in I forget if we talked about this. Did you not like his episode in season 2? You did.
It was the one that felt the least Star Wars, because I know, like, there was stuff in it that you could tell it was filmed in LA.
Yes.
And I hate stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I really like that episode, because I just think in one episode, Boba Fett was just incredible. Like, there's just incredible Boba Fett stuff.
Yeah. Now, I will agree. All the Boba Fett stuff in that episode was great.
The fight, the 3-headed attack of him, Fennec, and Mando fighting off the whomever they were. I forget who it was now.
Stormtroopers?
Is that what it was? Stormtroopers. Yeah, they were fighting off stormtroopers. Was so dope. I love that so much. And that was what allowed Robert Rodriguez to be an executive producer for this show, was how well he did basically redeeming Boba Fett in that episode.
Yeah.
But he did not get to carry that over. He did not carry that over into this particular series. I think he directed 4 of the 7 episodes?
Yeah, 3 of the 7 episodes.
3.
I think he directed 1, 4, and 7.
Okay. I thought he did 1, 2, 4, and 7, but he did 1, 4, and 7. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I was not like they have the entire thing where the Pikes come out and they send the Major Domo out there, and I was like, well, of course he's gonna have wrote "screw you guys" on the pad. Yeah. And like, it just, like, everything that happened was so predictable in this episode.
It was just, the beats of it were so weird. You want the fight, the Cad Bane Boba fight, and I like the conversation they have, but then you're like, well, they're not gonna fight now because it's in the middle of the episode, so that's lame. Then you have, the Pike reveal, which is silly. By the way, then Cad Bane leaves, and it seems like all hope is lost. They're flying around. I like the flying around stuff a little bit when they're down, and then things look bad, and then the Freetown people come, and then all this time I'm wondering, where's Cad Bane? Is he just kind of hanging out? What's his plan? I assumed he had a bigger plan in mind. And then they have the Scorpa, whatever those things are called, the Exoscorps or whatever. I heard the name of it, the Scorpatreks. I forget what they're called. The large droidecas is and the whole time because before that happened, I looked at my wife. I'm like, the Pikes didn't even bring out their big gun, and then there were literal big guns, and I was like, that's not what I meant. I meant Cad Bane. And then he just waits till all that is coordinated. The only really cool part to me was getting to see Boba ride a Kraken. Or
Yeah.
and ride the Rancor. That's what I meant.
Yeah, like, and even that, like, as soon as he stops doing his thing and then he flies off, I'm like, he's gonna go get the Rancor.
Oh, you
Like,
knew that?
yeah, like, I mean, there would be no reason for him to like just. I immediately thought, oh, that's what he's gonna do, and so yeah, I just
The Grogu coming in with R2 was like as somebody said, it was like an Uber. It was like a X-wing Uber.
now I will say that moment when you see the X-wing coming in, I was so angry because I predicted last week that he was going to show up,
You
but it's
did.
like right at the beginning of the episode, and I was just like, "Oh no, Luke!"
Another whole Luke episode? Are we serious?
Well, I just thought I was like, now there's not going to be any tension because when the Pikes attack, I know Luke Skywalker's, but then it was just Grogu in the ship, and I was like,
It was
"Yes,
cute, but it was just like that's weird. The beats, the only things I really liked were the beats between Mando and Grogu, but that's just sort of par for the course now, right? I mean, we're expected to get that. You like when he lifts down his little hood, right? He lifts down
yeah,
his robe and is like he's wearing the mithril. He's like, "You got the shirt." He's
yeah,
like, "You got my package, great." Because I guess Mando thought that maybe Ahsoka and Luke wouldn't deliver that to him. And then he uses the Force twice. The second time, I like it a lot more because he puts him to sleep, and then he falls and he gets to sleep right next to him, which is just freaking adorable. I did like the part where Mando tried to ride the Rancor and failed epically.
yeah,
Is it just funny, like the beats of this show and some parts of Mandalorian are just like our main characters are pretty inept when it comes to
yeah."
doing things correctly. And like the Rancor tries to eat him and can't get through his Beskar, so he just throws him away.
Yeah, so
There's some
weird.
parts that are fun, but the whole of the episode is the pacing's weird. There's way too much of the mods. I don't like the mods, honestly. Fennec is barely in it, and they do a lot of those like she's from shooting from the shadows. I like the part at the end where she kills everybody, I guess, but you know. And then we get the mid-credit scene, which is awesome because that proves that Timothy Olyphant's still alive,
Yes.
just waiting to get upgraded. I hope he doesn't ride around in a Power Rangers colored Vespa.
And I will say there was one part where I I didn't know how I was gonna feel about it. Like when you see the three crime families and they're
Mhm.
like, oh, they're betraying them. They
I knew that was gonna happen.
push the Gamorreans off the
Yeah, I feel bad. Rest in peace, Gamorreans.
and then
They're better.
they go after the Power Rangers there.
They
And
did.
then they go out the Trandoshans go after Black Chrysanthemum. And I'm like,
It looked
oh,
bad. They did
oh,
two. They did two of those. Two of those red herrings where you thought something bad was going to happen, and
yeah, it's kind
survived
of like,
both times.
yeah, I didn't like that they didn't show how he got out. Like you just see him, he's down, he's gonna get like the assumption was I thought he was getting killed. And
Yeah.
then you just see him later and he's just doing normal punching through that trying to punch through that shield, and I'm like, oh, I guess he's back. Okay.
Well, I was like, is this the Trandoshans' grand plan? Are they going to kill him? And then I was like, or are they just going to dogpile on him? And then he showed up, and I was like, well, I guess it was answer B. They just decided to dogpile on him, and then he used his cool Wookiee gladiatorial strength and busted out of there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
and
so strange. Such a strange episode. I didn't like any of it. And then there's the big thing about rest in peace, Cad Bane. Cad Bane dead.
well, actually, and that's not confirmed because apparently
That was
there is a light on his chest that is blinking.
okay.
So, and apparently, like, it's not just something that was just there. Like, Star Wars explained an entire thing about apparently, if you watch the like dictation version of the episode, they talk about it. So, I guess if I don't know how that works. I guess if you're blind, they describe what's happened to you in the
Oh yeah.
episode.
Okay.
So they're like, and a sudden light it appears on his chest and starts blinking, and I'm like, is that like a sign that Toto's about to come and pick him up? And Seth Green's gonna be in Book of Boba Fett season 2 as the droid from Clone Wars and the Bad Batch, maybe, and like he'll end up getting picked up, and then it'll be fine. But yeah, I would be completely okay. Like I liked the part where when they're having their battle, he realizes I can't win with my Mandalorian stuff, so he goes to town with him on his gaffy stick, and it's
Yeah.
great. Like I like that.
Yeah, I like it. I wish you have to be a Clone Wars aficionado to understand their history. They tried to shoehorn it in here a bit, but it wasn't enough time. They should have, as had been intimated in other things I've watched, they should have introduced Cad Bane earlier. There probably should have been another one or two dust ups between them, and then maybe a flashback or two, so that we could understand more. For those of us who have not watched the entirety of the Clone Wars and understand, I haven't. I only know it from what you have told me. That's where I was like, hey, I told my wife, I was like, hey, Cad Bane's the one who put the dent in his helmet. And then I forgot to go the other way and say, Boba Fett's the one that made him have to wear this chest plate for the entirety of his life. So, blah, blah, blah.
But yeah, it's so like I don't know how I fit. Like I think it's my least favorite episode of their live action stuff that they've ever made. Definitely. And it's like one of those things where, like, in Mando's series, he's like taking blaster bolts, but when they're in front of the Garza Fwip's little former cantina there, like he gets shot a few times, gets knocked down, then Boba gets shot a few times and he gets knocked down, then the other one gets up, and I'm just like, but like Dan can just walk into a room full of troopers and just and be cool, but because they want Boba Fett to be useful here, they devalue both of them. And like, yeah, like you said, like no one really gained anything from the show. Whereas like
No.
if you're a force like Grogu, apparently if you're a force sensitive, you're the best thing in the world. If
Yeah.
you're just a regular Joe, you suck. Like
Yeah, I mean, he took out the ligament of one of those large destroyer droids, basically. And then I don't know why. Usually, isn't it when he uses the Force, he usually falls asleep? So I was surprised he didn't fall asleep. I was like, oh, so you're just saying you did that, you left it alone this time because you needed him to come back and do it again. And if he was asleep, then that would ruin that. So
well, so that's what I thought
okay.
is like that his training with Luke allows him to use a little bit more effort, but not so much that he doesn't pass out after silencing the Rancor.
So he's leveled up to level 2, where he now has double the force meter.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Okay, I understand now. That's fine. So
yeah,
they should have that above his head so that I know where he sits. Because
and he only used a little bit of it pulling that joint out.
I mean, it took a bit of time for that to happen. They showed it. He had to focus on it for a bit.
He used a great almost he had like 1% left whenever he silenced the Rancor, which is the reason why he was able to walk up to it and then pass out.
Absolutely. I thought the Darksaber would be more important. It wasn't really. I mean, he used it to stab it in the eye and take off a thing, but it was the right. And then like they split up the groups, right? And you're supposed to get this nice back and forth, the tension between the people of Freetown and the Sticks and the mods in the city. But that, and then the main one who looks like Felicity Jones, and then the Freetown person, they're like going to a higher vantage point. So you're like, oh, they're going to take out this one. And then it doesn't matter at all. It's just Boba comes in with the Rancor and gets the second one. So it's like, why did you even split them up anyway? It doesn't matter. Come on. Nothing seemed to matter except the fact that Boba had a Rancor. And then like they used the Rancor and my wife was like, well, aren't they going to have to figure out how to take the Rancor back? I was like, well, if Boba's riding him, he's fine. And then Boba wasn't riding him anymore. I was like, oh. And then he started rampaging in the city. I was like, oh, cool. And then they kept shooting at it. And you're like, didn't you guys just see where it helped you a few minutes ago? Save your lives. But now we don't care about that.
And honestly, like, of course, like Fennec Shand right at the beginning of the episode, she's like, "I'll go to Mos Eisley. I'll take care of the Pikes." And then you're like,
Forever.
and then she's just gone. Like
She
I was
saved the
so
mod.
happy.
That was important.
Yeah, like I started the episode and saw that it was an hour, and I
Yeah.
was so happy.
Yeah.
And but then like 20 minutes of it was them hiding behind a ship or hiding behind a wall or
Shooting this thing incessantly when you can very well tell that it's not doing a damn thing.
yeah. Like it was I
Yeah, I
was
mean, that fight was way too long. At some point, we get the thing where when the Rancor shows up, I'm like, oh, so this is like a kaiju fight. This is like Godzilla versus Kong or Godzilla versus Mothra. And then that really morphed into that very obviously when the Rancor crawls up one of the towers and is hanging on like freaking King Kong in the Empire State Building. And you're like, so Robert Rodriguez really wanted to make like a King Kong movie or whatever. And
yeah.
he got to make it a little bit here in the guise of Star Wars. And then like it just ends, and there's that weird ending where it's like the gang is there, like the Mos Espa gang is all happy, and they're about ready to fist pump that they won the day, and then Grogu and Mando just leave.
Yeah, and like Boba's like, I don't think we're up to this, and I'm like, this is what your entire series has been about.
Yeah, I was like, this is the whole season. You say you're not up for it now. What does that mean?
Like,
why would you?
And now I will say there is one thing that I think is weird because like I'm guessing Grogu has seen Boba now. Like at least he didn't see him on Tython, and he probably only like saw him in the armor. But given the fact that he like passed out and probably had to chill out at Boba's palace, I wonder if there will be a thing in the future where Grogu hears his voice later and is like, "Wait, you sound like those clones that tried to kill me," or whatever. Which I have my prediction for that entire thing is going to be resolved in the Bad Batch. Because, yeah, I think, yeah, or in a season of the Bad Batch, because they had the Mount Tantus where they were taking Nala Se there, which is
the
giant mountain. I assume because the clones didn't look like they were firing at Grogu, so maybe like Palpatine was like, "Hey, there's something with a high M count," because they don't want to say midichlorians because apparently that freaks people out.
It
Go,
does.
Go get him.
It gives people like weird PTSD.
Yeah, and they're like, "Go get him." And so they are the ones that took him from the temple, and he just stuck him in that mountain. And then, because we know, like, his entire crap, what's the planet in Rise of Skywalker that he's the Sith planet?
Oh, you're talking about Exegol?
Exegol, yeah. We know that like in canon, he had built that facility for a while, and it was, like, so that's not just a like, hey, Return of the Jedi. Oh, I'll send my spirit there now. No, like he had been like conducting experiments. Like he had Luke's hand there doing stuff. So I can imagine that like if that's the reason why in Mando season 2 that the Imperial Remnant needs Grogu's blood because they didn't get enough.
Yeah.
To create the Snokes and the Palpatine clones. But I assume that's what he's been doing this entire time, has been like figuring out, hey, I will perfect this cloning technology with the Kaminoan here, and then I'll be able to live forever. Then we'll send it to my Sith base where no one else knows where it is except me. And I'm guessing the Bad Batch will rescue Grogu from that mountain at some point. And that might be like in hindsight the reason why Grogu's not afraid of Boba's voice.
Okay.
People with that voice, even though it's D. Bradley Baker versus Tamir Morrison, it's supposed to be the same voice, is the reason. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it wasn't good, and I don't know if I want to see a second season.
I
And
need it if they're gonna do a second season, it needs to be entirely different.
yeah, and it doesn't need to be on Tatooine.
I would hope that at that point it would be if you set up that they don't want to stay there, then they should go back to being bounty hunters for hire, or they should be looking for a new base of operations. And then you can do a Bad Batch type thing where we're going on jobs or we're going on scouting missions for things. Or
Yeah,
maybe
and, like,
or maybe he tries to look for the remnants of Camino and tries to figure out like how it is how I can move on from where technically I mean, it made it seem like Tatooine was his home, which it wasn't. I know he lived there for a bit when he was working for Jabba, but how long was he working for Jabba?
yeah, and then he was living with the Tuscans for 5 years.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
so he
mean,
might have really, like, fallen in love with that place,
I don't know
being
why that place sucks. Place sucks. It's rowdy cantinas, sand, dust storms,
and big dragon monsters that will eat you.
crate dragons, like things, all manners of scaly things beneath the sand that will come up out of caves, out of holes, and eat the shit out of you. So why
Yeah.
the fuck would you want to be there? At least Camino was like a big ocean planet, which is what Tatooine was supposed to be, just full of ocean and water until whatever. Just let them leave that place. We don't need any more Tatooine. How much
Yep.
Tatooine have we had? Like so much Tatooine.
Which I think if there's gonna be a second season, because the twins are still out there, the twin Hutts.
They are. Yes.
So they were kind of like, hey, this other syndicate's popped in, so we're gonna let you deal with that. And I guess if there's a second season, they'll come back and be like, now we want Tatooine, and then we're gonna get this entire crap all over again, unless he goes after them.
Or
And is
what if he goes to what if he goes to Hutta or
yeah,
whatever?
which I would love. I would
Yeah,
love.
that'd be neat. I was really disappointed we did not get a referendum on other syndicates.
Yeah,
I'm mad
like
we did not get a Crimson Dawn, whatever. Well,
yep. Okay.
see, Shelf was mad about that too. That's why I was throwing stuff aside, making lots of noise. Yeah,
Ah,
no, I episode left me wanting a lot. The action was hit or miss. I didn't understand people's motivations. I thought it was weird when Mando and Boba were having that conversation. And Boba's like, "You should get out of here now." I'm like, "Didn't you spend a lot of time trying to go and hire him? And now when stuff's gonna happen, you're like, you should leave now." That doesn't make any goddamn sense. It's just a lot of things, and then things were wrapped up way too quickly for an episode, even though it was an hour episode. I thought
yep.
the fighting wasn't intriguing enough to spend that much time on it, and then just everybody was dispatched, and I think everybody should have been dispatched. It didn't make it seem like the Pikes, Cad Bane, the large droid decas, like were all up for the challenge. They should have had things that were more up to the challenge to go against Boba Fett and Fennec Shand and the rest.
Yep. I tend to agree. But let's go ahead and drop this. I mean, do we want to keep a spoiler tag
Gotta
up?
keep spoilers up.
All right.
But
So
it's a more enlightened, it's more optimistic spoilers because we're gonna talk about the better show.
yes. So Peacemaker.
My
It's
favorite episode,
great.
I think, by the way.
Yeah. It's really sad. Like
Yeah.
Mern dies.
Mern dies a little bit innocuously. I wish it would had a little bit more fanfare, but like Goff being crushed hit more of a beat, honestly, and hit more of a beat because then Adebayo and Harcourt come in and like freaking James Gunn makes us care about a weird CGI bug from space. It's very strange that we really gave a crap about that, but we did. So good on you, James Gunn, I guess.
Yep. And then of course, like we see the flashback of the fight.
The fight,
And
yeah, which is kind of how I anticipated it went, but
yeah, and of course, like then we see them leave. We see them leave. They've the white dragon, he is glued in on their area, and I'm
Through the
like,
helmets.
oh no, this is gonna be the worst. And then they do the entire thing, like they go running through the woods, and then Vigilante picks up the helmets and puts it back in the car, and I'm like, why?
Because he's an idiot, but
I,
he's such the part like every. So by the way, going back to the beginning, so good acting by John Cena as he's remembering all this, and then the cut in for the opening sequence was so jarring. It was the most jarring of it. You're like, oh my god, yeah, we're doing this again. Not to the point where it made me want to skip it, just that if people skipped it, I would more understand this time because it was so off kilter from when we usually get that opening sequence.
yeah,
Yeah.
as a person who like I've probably watched that video like every single day, like at least twice a day. It's so good. Like since watching the show, and I will say, like I don't ever feel like the wait between the week is so long. The wait between this week with Peacemaker was so long.
Mm.
I guess because I binge watched the first 6 episodes in 3 days. This, like, I felt like it might be because the Book of Boba Fett was so underwhelming that I was just like, I need something, some good times.
And this
And
is the shortest Peacemaker episode too,
yeah, it was.
which is weird. I really like Vigilante is so good in this episode. Like he there's a scary part where he drops a grenade, right? And you think he might be dead. And I'm like, they're not going to kill him. But then he's driving and then he has a concussion and he just very slowly lists to the left, which I thought was hilarious. And they wake him up and then he's peeing in the woods and Economos comes on and he's like, why are your pants all the way down? It's like, I can't pee with the feel of cloth against my butt, which is incredible. And then, there's the fight with he does the thing with the raccoon, which is great. You just see all the
Yeah.
scratches on his face. He's like, raccoons are fucking hardcore, man. He's like, well, that went about as what I expected if a grown man walks up and just tries to wrangle a raccoon. They're just following the stupid raccoon. And then the fight is good, and we get the call back. Vigilante comes out and stabs him in the neck. He's like, told you about the gaps in the armor, man. And and then the emotional part where he kills his dad, which I didn't know if that was going to happen or not. And he did it.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of the James Gunn feel where it undercuts that a little bit with the jokes, but not to the point where I thought it was like terrible for the flow of the show, just that they tried it again. And then, it was the most emotional part really was that Eagly gets hurt. And we're like, oh my God, did they kill Eagly? Like, no, they're not going to. And then he's at the vet. Honestly, the vet part is my favorite part because like Vigilante's going to kill the vets. And he's like, and they're like, well, we're going to tie them up. And he's like, well, don't use duct tape because it'll hurt when it peels off the skin. And Economos is like, so you care about like tape, but you don't care about brutally murdering people. He goes, yeah.
Yeah.
And the vets, like when they're rallying to get everybody to go, and the vets are like, let's fucking go. And they're like, you're not going. It's like, oh, you sure you don't want the help? Like, no, you have to stay here. But we're gonna hide your cars. We're gonna sequester your cars. And then, them going off, we get to see the cow, which is the craziest, creepiest thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say this might be the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
With the one, it's like a baby Huey thing. It has one tooth. Basically, it looks like it has one tooth, and it covers this entire subterranean cavern. And they talk about teleportation as how they're going to get there instantly or whatever, and that teleportation might be the reason why if they don't get there fast enough that they'll be lost forever and all these things. But I mean, it's emotional when it needs to be. We got to see by the way, the Eagly hug. That's my favorite part when Eagly gets up and he hugs him, and then we get the flashback to the conversation about Adebayo not believing it, and then that being a story beat for her to stay behind. I think it's brilliant. Like I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's such a brilliant piece of storytelling. And then we got, I mean, the hug is just majestic, and he gets a picture of it, which is just wonderful. So that I think the Eagly hug is honestly my favorite part because it actually means something, which is ridiculous because it's should only be just a fun thing to see, but it actually means something with the climax of the story, which is good.
Yeah, and like we only got one more episode,
I
and
know.
I know John Cena has said that he will come back and do extra seasons if James Gunn writes it.
But James Gunn said he is in talks to do another show, but it not necessarily be Peacemaker. Like
Uh,
he would think about bringing in another person to the Suicide Squad and doing another like a season with them. And I'm like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. I trust you. But I would
I wonder.
I would like to see more Peacemaker, honestly.
I'm trying to think who they would do. I guess they could do.
Ratcatcher.
Yeah, I was gonna say that or Idris Bloodsport.
I don't think Idris Elba would do a show. But I
And they
think
could do Nathan Fillion's character because they proved that he's alive.
he's alive.
Yeah, one of the end credit scenes is him still like sprawling about the beach.
No, that's Weasel.
Is it?
Yeah,
God.
it's Weasel. Weasel comes out and they say they think he drowns, but then he coughs up and he runs into the woods. TDK gets his arm shot and he basically gets capped while he's on the ground like 8 million times. He's dead.
Man, that makes me sad.
No, so it's only the only people who are alive from that are Bloodsport, Peacemaker, Ratcatcher, Nanawe, and Weasel. And Harley, I guess, but they're not going to do a Harley show.
Yeah, and King Shark, right?
Nanawe, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, if you wanted to do a King Shark show, I'd probably be all for it, honestly. But if they do one, it's not Peacemaker. Ratcatcher would probably be my guess, is what they would do.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're right. They definitely would not be able to get Margot Robbie for that.
No.
And
I don't think they could get Idris Elba for it.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a lot of seasons of Luther. I think he hit his like TV mark. I don't think he wants to do any more of that.
Yeah, I mean, but I will say, like, there is definitely stuff like some TV stuff is better than movies.
In this case, I think this definitely is. I think it's.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people have said it's the best DCEU thing, but I think they're right.
Oh, they are absolutely right. And like I will say, before the Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian was the best Star Wars content live action that they've ever made.
Yeah.
And like I was of the position of a few years ago, I was like, I don't want to ever see another Star Wars movie. Like if they just make live action,
keep canceling them left and right. So.
Yeah, like if they just make live action stuff, then I'm cool with it. Like series for Disney Plus, that's great. But now Book of Boba Fett has made me change my mind on that. Like it has to be, even though I think Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they do great with Mandalorian. I just don't know why they didn't do well with Boba Fett.
There was a theory that maybe they just really want to work within their own toy chest, basically their own universe of new people that they've created, and the idea of these old characters that they try to treat with reverence. They kind of just want to do something and then like get them away.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with that because I think we've had the Boba Fett thing. We didn't get enough Boba Fett, but they didn't do a good job with it. So I don't really want to see him back. And Luke, we've seen enough Luke, honestly. I know there'll be more, but we've seen it. I mean, he's been in 9 movies. He's been in 6, 7 movies, and these 2 shows. So you're like,
yeah,
why do I need to see more of him? So I think it's really just about them trying to push Star Wars into a new era with their own characters, and while also it's that reboot sequel type of thing. We need to keep the old characters to bring in the older generation, but the new characters really where we're trying to set the story forth on, navigate towards. So I think I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the motivation.
Like, and I will say, I do think Luke will appear in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And I'll watch Obi-Wan and I'll watch Andor, but I'm not excited for them.
Like, you're not excited for Kenobi?
Yeah, I mean, I am, but just the fact that, like...
Because it's more Tatooine?
Yeah, it's more Tatooine. Well, unless he leaves. because he's unless like the fight with him and Hayden is like a vision thing.
Mm.
Like if it's a Force vision or something, then I'll be mad. If he leaves to go fight Vader, that's great. Get off. Yeah, like I'm done with Tatooine. Done. At
Yeah,
least for 10 years. Like,
it's weird because it's on the outer rim, but it's like the center of the universe.
yeah, which I know why that is. Like canon wise, like it does. It is one of the major trade ports, which is the reason why Jabba set up shop there. Is because two of the major hyperlanes run through Tatooine, which is the reason why when they leave Naboo and Phantom Menace, they were able to go there because it's so close to everywhere in the outer rim, and their hyperdrive was destroyed or messed up, and it didn't like they could get there, and that wouldn't be a problem. But like, yeah, I like the fact that Ewan's coming back.
Yeah, that's really what it is. I just want to see like 16, 17 years later if it just kind of feels like old hat or if there's a difference in it. But knowing Ewan McGregor, if it was a difference, it would be a good difference.
Yeah, like I'm more excited because I think Bad Batch season 2 is going to come out this year.
Okay.
I think it's supposed to come out after Kenobi, but before Andor. But I'm not
Summer show.
Yeah, and they confirmed or they announced that there's probably going to be a season 2 of Andor, which I don't
already.
Yeah, like I'm not excited for that at all because like
I need to see what it's going to be. I need to get
I do like him as a character because he like shoots that guy on the moon of whatever and
brings a Kafrene man.
Yes.
Come on.
Well, it's okay. But yeah, like so he does that. So he's like the darker side of the rebellion, and
that's what the benefit of it, right? That's what the elevator pitch of it is. Let's see the dirt that the rebellion got into.
But yeah, and like now since we were just talking about a DC show, I don't know. Like, there's 4 DC movies. They had their big they released a trailer that's a combination of all 4 movies, stuff. And I'm excited for the Batman, and I'm excited for Black Adam.
Not Flash.
Yeah, I'm not excited for Flash or
Aquaman. Aquaman 2. Whatever
it's called.
The Lost Kingdom or the Kingdom of the Lost Souls or Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I think it was that
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah, I'm not excited for either one. I know so many people are like, Keaton gets to be Batman again. It'll be, but that doesn't excite me. Like, I know, like, stuff like that, like, what they do with it, that will excite me. But him just being Batman, that doesn't really excite me. But, yeah, like, it's an entire thing. Like, I don't know what kind of content we'll make for the podcast after next week because we won't have NFL.
Figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. Me and you I'll shoot you some ideas. But yeah, let's go ahead and announce.
But let's again be clear for everybody out there who, if you were listening to us do commentary on these shows, Boba Fett, middling to bad. Peacemaker, very, very, very good. And like I said, I think it's my favorite episode.
And you can trust Robert with the Peacemaker. You cannot trust me. Just like I said, I'm excited about Black Adam. I am more excited about Black Adam because it's The Rock.
Yeah.
And I'm a wrestling dude.
Yeah.
But
plus this has been in production for what?
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah, and John Cena is a wrestling dude. So like I might be biased. Robert is not biased when it comes to that. So if he says it's the best DCEU thing,
it is by far, and I think it's just because the DCEU had that thing where they had to rush because Marvel had a 4-year head start on them, 5-year head start on them, and they just muddled through as they got a Justice League movie together. Zack Snyder one notwithstanding, but it's when you get to live with the characters a bit, it feels better, right? It feels more lived in. It feels like you're actually hanging out with someone as opposed to just being thrust into a relationship. That's not good. You wanna ease in. Want to ease into it. And that's what Peacemaker the show does. And that's why it's so good.
Yep. But yeah, Robert, thank you for coming
Yeah.
on the show.
I'm glad we got to talk about these. Rest in peace, sort of Cad Bane. Rest in peace, Pike Syndicate. Rest in peace, Book of Boba Fett. You were gone probably not soon enough, honestly. But yeah, we got season finale of Peacemaker, and I'm going to be really sad when that show's done.
Yeah, and then I don't know what I'll be. Yeah, I'm sad for the dry spell of content that we're not going to have.
Yeah.
We won't have anything until Moon Knight unless we can think of something.
There's nothing around the realm of what we typically have. We'll have to maybe we'll do like a retro watch of something or whatever.
Yeah, we can do that. But yeah, we'll talk. I know next week we'll have the Schmodown Awards.
Yep.
And then yeah, like,
and there'll be some more there's more content coming out on the side of the fan league stuff. There's some stuff that's been coming out today and yesterday and stuff we can talk about because that's ramping up too, which is good.
Yep. But yeah, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter at Colton Roberts 8 and follow the show at supernova_show, that's good. And then all the usual places for Robert.
Yep.
You know, the ontals and the multiplexes and
sorry. Yeah, we lost that teams match in Ontal. Not very happy about it, honestly. Felt like Star Trek questions were a lot easier than the MCU questions, but whatever. That's our fault for not getting one additional question right. I had the Batman question and I erased it. We would have got that. We would have had Star Trek and we probably would have won that match, honestly. But whatever. It is what it is. What are you going to do? We're the best 0-1 team you'll see, I bet. So that's how I look at it.
Yes. Yeah, you'll definitely be better than my team.
We'll see.
Well, I mean, because my team has me on it. So
no
offense, Ryan, if you're watching this. But yeah, this was a good show. We got it in an hour. We actually got the show, so that's good. Next week we'll talk about the Super Bowl, some Schmodown Awards, and Peacemaker. Woo woo! All right.
Everybody out there in Supernova Show land, don't forget to tip your virtual waitresses. See ya.